All right.
Yeah.
All right. Hey guys, how you doing? It is Will Caban, the Mortgage Man, and today on the Spotlight series, is my good friend Gustavo Pacheco over at Living Premises. A lot of you probably know him. He is with Keller Williams, Coral Gables, and great realtor, great partner, great friend, and just an all-around great guy. So Gustavo, I just wanted to have you introduce yourself, your team, and go into a little bit about what you guys do.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
We're having some difficulties really quickly. I want to share this, and I don't find it on your page.
It's not on the page? Okay, so go down, probably go down maybe one or two posts. So anybody who's watching this right now, feel free to comment, ask any questions. This is interactive, so if there's something that you want to know, you want to ask a question about for Gustavo, anything that he's going to go over, any questions that I ask, feel free to just throw the question in the comments section, and we'll be able to make it. So anybody who's watching this right now, feel free to comment, ask any question.
Okay, sorry about that, brother. Technical difficulties.
No, don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it.
We're ready to rock.
It wouldn't be Facebook Live if we didn't have those technical difficulties.
Yeah. So once again, thank you so much for having me over in your channel. And my name is Gus Pacheco, real estate specialist, team owner of Living Premises, and we pretty much service all of South Florida. That's pretty much it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you making the time, especially on a Saturday morning. What we wanted to go over today is I really just wanted to go over some questions with you with what's going on in the local market, specifically what you guys are doing as a team, because I know you guys focus on listings, buyers, and pretty much just, working in a general facility of making things happen, right? Making dreams come true, as you put it. So with the first thing I wanted to ask you is, right now with what's going on, are you focusing more on working with listings, buyers, or both? And in this environment, how's it differ from each other?
So I primarily focus on working with listings. Yes, I do work with some buyers. Yet our team is split up between me and Ivan Rechiniti. You know him yourself. He's
great
agent, and he's great. He works with the buyers. He's the one that helps out the buyers get there. Wait, before we continue talking about listings and buyers, the way there are three principles applied to my business, my team, and my life, right? Which is pretty much, can I trust you? Are you good at your job? And do you care about me? So if you're able to answer these three questions to anybody, this could be your wife, right? When you first met her, she's going to have to trust you. You're going to have to be good at whatever it is you do.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to care about her for her to want to say, you know what, I want to marry this guy, right? So these three principles work with anything. So this right here is, I have applied it to my life, to the team, and to myself.
Absolutely.
And these three principles come down to two things, very important. Having the customer or whoever the person, the subject in mind, and to make sure you know what the heck you're talking about, right? Because if you don't know what you're talking about, it's you're never gonna get that person's trust, and you're not gonna see, like, you're not gonna prove that you care about the person.
Right? Absolutely.
Can I trust you?
So you basically just answered the question, which was honestly the first question that I should have had, which was, if you tell me a little bit about Living Premises, the core values and the values that you guys have as a team. And you kind of hit it right on the head. The three things, the three core things that you guys work on and you facilitate. And I agree with you 100%. The trust factor is a huge thing.
And basically, the can I trust you and do you care about me? It's a 2-for-1 combo, right? You get these right and you're halfway there. The easiest way to earn someone's trust is by listening, right? We do the mistake sometimes to to think that we know more than what the person is asking for, right? So if you're sitting with a buyer and you're like, oh, but look at this house. No, ask them what is it that they're looking for. What do they want? What is their need and wants analysis, right? And then show them properties, right? Because then you're gonna go around showing 1,000 properties and you're gonna waste a person's time. And that's the worst way to try to earn somebody's trust and to show them that you know what the hell you're doing, right?
Absolutely. So what I hear you saying is one of the most important keys before you actually go out, start showing properties, before you start doing anything with any clients, is ask the right questions, right?
Correct.
That's one of the key factors, and I agree.
Listening is the key factor here, right?
Yeah.
You have to listen to what they want, and then you go about finding them the solution to their problem, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the key to the puzzle is what can I control, right?
Yeah.
What I can control is what I know, me being good at my job, me being prepared in to be in any situation that's thrown at me by any seller or buyer, right?
That's it.
And how do I prepare? I prepare by showing interest in my work, concentrating upon my task, and being persistent in my effort. So in a nutshell, that right there is pretty much our principles and values of the way we do business.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So in respects to that, obviously that's translated to focusing on working with buyers, working with listings. Right now, how many listings do you have under contract and active?
So between me and Ivan, we have active 7 listings active. We have 5 listings under contract and 2 buyers under contract.
I would say it's pretty busy for the market that we're in. So you guys, I mean, it sounds like you guys focus on buyers and sellers. And
correct.
In this market, how does that differ from each other when you're working with one versus the other? Because obviously the market's a little bit different now with what's going on. So how do you focus on listings? And how, I mean, you have more listings now than you have buyers, which is amazing.
So the math is very simple. Every listing should get you 2 buyers, right? So we try to focus on going and getting these listings that are going to create our leads, and that's the way we're going to be able to get the buyers.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's why I try to focus more on going and getting these listings and helping sellers with their goals of selling their properties, and that is basically going to bring the buyers on.
Nice. And then from a buyer perspective, I know you mentioned Ivan earlier. Ivan's an awesome guy. We'll have him on the show at a later time. But tell me how that facilitating him as a buyer's agent and utilizing him helps you to go out and get more listings.
So we only have a certain amount of time, right? Each one. So it's the best way to actually be successful in real estate is by leveraging your leads and your time. So let's say, for example, somebody calls me on the sign that wants to see one of the listings. I show them the property. They didn't like the property for some reason. Then I go ahead and say, listen, what are you looking for? And then I do introduction to Ivan, and Ivan goes ahead and continues showing the property while I go focus on getting more listings. It's about leveraging time.
That's it. And in terms of how they differ from each other, do you see the psychology for sellers being a little bit different right now than it was maybe 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, before all the craziness happened?
Yeah. So I could only talk about what's going on with my listings, right? I've had four of my listings go under contract, or the ones that are not under contract, and then all of a sudden, boom, they cancel the contract because of what's going on, right? People are losing their jobs, they're not being able to secure a loan, and sellers are understanding this now. They're like, oh wow, we gotta go ahead and do what we have to do to get this property sold.
Yeah.
So things have changed very quickly in the last couple of weeks, and I do see it shifting into a buyer's market. That is gonna come, and then that's good for buyers. It's definitely gonna be a good time for them to come and take advantage of this. Yet I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
Just leaning towards there.
I agree with you. And hold that thought, because I do want to ask you guys a question about that later. Because I think it's extremely important that we get into that topic of what a buyer's market is, what a seller's market is, so people understand it. Because I think there's some confusion with that, right? People kind of think that, wow, there's a weakness in the market, and I have a different belief in that. I don't think there's a weakness in the market. I think there's a weakness in the way that certain things are portrayed in media.
Mhm.
Yes, people are losing jobs. Yes, people are getting furloughed. Yes, they're getting temporarily laid off. But that's a temporary thing. And I want to ask you questions about that later on too. Because actually, you know what? I mean, let's just jump into it right now. Do you think it's a buyers and sellers market? And what's the difference between both, right? What's the difference between both? Because I think there's a lot of confusion when it comes to that.
So right now, it is going into a buyer's market very quickly, right? So what is the buyer's market? Buyer's market is when there's a more opportunity for buyers to buy. Yet it hasn't gotten there yet because there's not enough listings out there in the market for us to sell. So it all goes into supply and demand. There's more listings in the market, it's going to be better for the buyers. And if there's less buyers, if there's less buyers and there's more listings, and vice versa, right? So right now we do have our the inventory is very short in listings. So we haven't gotten to the buyer's market yet. Yet I do see that we will have more sellers coming out and having to list their homes
Yeah.
to survive, and be able to have some extra cash.
Absolutely. And as far as listings are concerned, do you see any, like, as far as numbers are concerned, do you see any metrics behind listings that have come out in the last week, the last month? Have they been pretty much consistent?
Yeah, and actually it's been consistent. Everything is still working how it was working before. So that's why right now I say it's a little too early to say what really is going to happen, because the market's still very strong. In the past 24 hours, is an average of 295 properties came into the market, and 202 have pended, right? Of these lists, not of these listings, but of listings in general, have pended. What is this telling you? That the market's still moving, right? People are still buying houses. People are still selling houses.
Exactly.
So we haven't gotten there yet. But what I am seeing is, listen, I'm sorry, I can't buy the house anymore. I just lost my job. They let me go, right?
Yeah.
So we're seeing this more and more and more with what's going on with the coronavirus. What was it? 16.8 million people applied for unemployment in the past 3 weeks, right? So this is something that we have to study and see to know what's going to happen, in the next few months.
Yeah, no, 100%. And with that goes on to my next question, which what advice are you giving to sellers right now, with things that are going on? I know you mentioned some people have canceled contracts. I know buyers have canceled contracts. Sellers have canceled listings. So the people who have stayed the course so far, or who are going to be listing, right? Because we have potential clients who are probably on the fence with listing their house right now. What advice would you be giving them right now to give them a little bit of solace, to give them a little bit of peace and peace of mind with what's going on?
My advice is always the same. Good markets, bad markets, is always the same. We need to price ahead of the market, right? Whether it's a good market, if we're going up, we price ahead of the market so it catches us. If it's coming down, the same way. We have to price ahead of the market so that we can meet our goals, right? And yes, my goal is always to net the highest amount possible for my seller. And this means pricing the property right. Because if we don't price it right, we're going to end up selling it for lower than what we originally wanted, right?
Yeah.
And I'm advising sellers to list a minimum of 5% under market value.
Really?
So yeah, that is you're gonna bring out all the buyers and you're gonna end up selling your home. Right.
That's
So the
that's
worst thing is,
for anybody that's watching right now.
yeah, it's you do not want to stay stuck in a scenario where you can't sell your home, right? And worst case scenario, you have a bidding war. I mean, best case scenario, you have a bidding war of buyers at your door trying to buy your home, right? Because that's what you're going to cost. You're going to cost buyers to show up to the property. So, sellers might go ahead and put the price on a home, but the buyers is actually the one that see the value, right? And that one that puts the price at the end.
Look
So
at that.
one thing that people need to keep in mind.
That's awesome, man. I like that saying right there. The sellers are the ones who price it, but the buyers see the ones who see the value. That's true. I mean, that's the truth. So when you take that in consideration, are you seeing any big adjustments for listing prices right now in the market? Now, we're not talking about your listings. We're talking about just listings in general. Have you seen declines or changes in values?
Yeah. So look, I just pulled out the MLS stats right now. Out of all the listings right now, 291 came new to the market, and there was 198 price decreases, meaning people are realizing what's going on, and they have to get serious about putting the right price on the homes.
Yeah.
So you're definitely gonna see people being realistic and playing ball, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I kind of shared the same philosophy, where it's like if you really, I think the misconception right now is that buyers think that sellers are desperate to sell, right? And I think there's a difference between being desperate to sell and being serious to sell, right? And sometimes we know this, seeing in the market, sellers will price a lot higher than what people would normally advise that they do, and then it sits on the market, right? And that's no, that's no disrespect to whoever the listing agent is. Sometimes we just deal with aggressive and really difficult buyers or sellers rather. But in this market, I feel like when you have a little more leverage because they're getting to understand that there are things that are happening, things outside of their control. And it's the buyers who are in the market are very serious, and the sellers who are in the market are very serious as well. So I was going to ask you if you saw a decline in the listings, and we actually went through that with the statistics that you just went through. And basically the answer, if I'm going to recap it, is that we just don't have enough data yet to show if there's any, but just based on the data that we do have, it's consistent. Like, it's been consistent that people are still listing. Now, I just want to shift over to what we had just spoken about, which is, sellers becoming more understanding and realistic of pricing properties with what's going on. But I want to ask this a little bit differently. How do you psychologically, when you sit down with these sellers, how do you work with them to understand that when they're pricing ahead of the market and with something like this, that they're not pricing under where the market would normally be? They're just pricing to effectively be ahead of, this pandemic, right? So that it's still attractive and there's still buyers out there that would be willing to come visit the property or make offers on the property, etc. Because I think that's a really key point.
So I really hold on to the fact that nobody really wants people walking into their house, right?
Yeah.
If you go ahead and you put an unrealistic price, you might have people walking in and out and not being serious about buying the property, and it could take months to get the property sold, right?
Yeah.
You market the property very aggressively, you're going to get the property sold. So you have to see what the end goal is and what exactly is it that they're trying to do. And me, myself, personally, with a pregnant wife, I don't want to work with unrealistic people. I'm not taking business from people that are thinking of an idea of trying to come up because, what's going on. I want to work with people that are serious and really need to sell or buy a house, right?
Yeah.
And I basically tell them how it is. Listen, this is what you have to do to sell your house. And it's okay if they don't work with me, right? So they could go find somebody else that would go ahead and list the property overpriced. And that's fine with me. Yet the way I show them is by showing them the facts and the truth. Listen, this is what it's selling for in your neighborhood, and this is what we have to do to get it sold.
Nice. So the one of the questions I didn't ask you that I'm going to ask you right now, so I'm putting you on the spot, is can you explain a little bit of your marketing strategy? Because pretty much every listing that you get pretty much gets sold.
That's pretty much it. I try to market right there. I think I've only had one listing never sold in my whole career, and nice. It was an overpriced listing, right? So it was a buddy of mine, his mother-in-law wanted to sell the house. He called me, bro, I need your help. Can you please help me? And I said, sure. I looked at the property. I said, look, that's not going to sell. He said, please, I need you to help me. And I was like, I can't make up numbers, right? Like, I can't just say, boom, your house is worth $50,000 over. So I ended up going back to the mother-in-law and saying, listen, I'm sorry. I'm not the person to sell your listing. If somebody else does, good for them. The property never sold. It's still there, and she's still living in there. And yeah, so it's pretty much that same strategy of listing ahead of the market, right?
Yeah.
And it was worked for me, and yeah, I'm grateful that
That's awesome.
will actually listen to me.
And so I want to shift towards buyers, right? Are you seeing a decline in buyer activity from where you are?
So what I have seen is a lot of an influx of investors, right? Like people trying to take advantage of the situations. I get an average of like 2 to 3 offers, ridiculous offers on my listings daily, right? On these investors and these wholesalers and these people trying to make a buck on what's going on. Yet the actual buyers that can secure a loan, it's becoming a little bit harder, right? Because imagine we just had 16.8 million people apply for unemployment. Not a lot of people are having jobs. I spoke to 4 people yesterday that were looking to buy, and they're like, look, us, we have to wait because we can't do anything right now. We lost our job, and unfortunately we had to wait. So yeah, it's becoming a little bit harder to find those good buyers, those solid buyers.
I agree. I mean, I've gotten bitten by the bug. I don't think anybody who's successful in this business has not been affected by it in some sort of way, right? Whether it's somebody who gets furloughed, somebody gets laid off, and I mean, and it's hard, right? Because how can you argue with that, right? In the past, if somebody wanted to get out of a contract because of a silly reason, we would fight to try to keep them in and things like that. But when you get a phone call from Monday to Tuesday saying, hey, well, I just lost my job, it's hard, and you go from being a loan officer or a real estate agent to just being a friend and a person that they can speak to and trust. And that's just where we are right now. And it's unfortunate, but honestly, it creates a unique type of person, right? In this business. So what kind of advice are you giving buyers right now, knowing that the things are going on? I mean, media is obviously negative. There's some realism to what media is, portraying, but then there's some stuff that they sensationalize. So you as a listing agent and a buyer's agent and as a team in general, what advice are you giving to your buyers right now?
It just depends. Everything is on a case-by-case scenario, right? If the buyer is a nurse, cop, firefighter, someone with an essential job, then we go and do the virtual buying program, right? Which basically now in today's world, you can buy a house by virtually seeing everything online. You don't even have to go anywhere. You could sign documents by email. You could go. There's 3D virtual tours. You don't have to go to the inspection. You get the inspector to give you the 40-page report that's super detailed. It tells you everything about the property.
Yeah.
And in the case they do want to get to go into the property, okay, we're ready to go. We put our masks, our gloves, we put our little footies on our shoes. What I do is go inside the property, make sure all the doors are open, turn on all the lights, show them through the property, and tell them don't touch anything. And on the way out, just Lysol everything, right? And boom, we're out. So it's a little bit easier nowadays with the technology to buy a property without seeing. Yeah, I do see that people want to go visit the properties, which is fine as well, and that's what we're doing right now with buyers that still want to go ahead and buy, and yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So are buyers asking if it's a good time to buy a home now?
Yeah. So it's okay. Let me give you an example. You spoke to him the other day, a good friend of mine from high school.
Yes.
He gave me a call. He said, Gus, it's a good time to buy. What should I do? And after going over his needs and wants analysis, I told him, listen, brother, let's wait till this coronavirus thing dies out and we'll take it from there. Why? He makes $80,000 a year. Half of his income comes from coaching soccer, right? He's a soccer coach. and with this money, he completes his $80,000, but that's half of his income. So right now he's off season, but we also have the coronavirus going on, right? So let's say I go and I do get him into his house. September comes along, coronavirus is still around. I don't know. Maybe it goes away or doesn't, but let's just say that it's still going on, right? We still have the situation with coronavirus. His second job is not there. He's not making that extra income. I cannot put somebody and set them up for failure. Like that's something that just out of me and my core values, I will never do, right? So yes, would he be able to buy a property the next week or two or whatever? Probably, because he has the numbers. Yet I want to make sure that he's going to be okay and that his job is still there when we get there, right? And it's basically on a case by case scenario. So we also have another buyer. He's a doctor. He's not going anywhere. He's going to go ahead and have his income no matter what. So we went and found him the property, right? So it just depends on how the person is set up. You know what he's working and case by case scenario.
So here's it, and I agree with that 100%. Here's something that I tell clients, because I try to talk statistics when it comes to that, and I tell clients who are on the fence, and this is more of clients who want to buy, have the ability to buy, but are kind of scared, right? And it's more, it's less so that they have the means to do it, and it's more, I need someone to kind of give me some, and I agree with that 100%. Here's the thing that I'm telling them is, look, if we look statistically, right, at the average age of a home buyer, first-time home buyer, 33 years old, and you've probably heard me say this before. If you go back 33 years, 1987, 88, 89, all the way up to 91, and even beyond that, you're going to see a surge of birth rates, right? So what that tells me is that there's going to be, in the next couple of years, an increase of people who have this need and this demand to find shelter. And right now, in certain states, there's a shortfall. Right now, there's a shortfall for that demand. So when we look at our market, right, where we can build vertically, and we are, there's that opportunity for the way I look at it from a buyer's perspective, is that there's the opportunity to buy, right? And in the next couple of years, because statistically you only stay in a property for 5, 7, maybe 10 years tops, there's still, the market value is still going to sustain itself. Now, we could obviously be being in a recession and going into certain things, that's going to obviously play into it. But I feel like if you're a responsible buyer, meaning that you keep a mortgage payment that will be relatively close to what you would have to pay for rent, and you have some sort of cushion, right? 3 months, 6 months, 12 months of reserves, then buying anytime, like you said it before, right? It doesn't matter the market. People still have a need to purchase. They still have a need for that shelter. So as long as that person has that need, then, and they're responsible about it, then I think it's a good time to buy. But I have told buyers that, look, if you feel that this payment being $1,000 over what your current rent is not, you're not comfortable with that, then it may not be a good time for you to buy. So I like how you say, you switch it on each individual buyer, and it depends on how and what their situation is. Because mindset really comes down to perspective of what is important to them. So yeah, I appreciate that feedback. In terms of opportunities for buyers, what areas are you seeing right now? We're talking local. So anyone who's listening in right now, we're local in the Miami, South Florida area. So that's Broward, West Palm Beach, and Miami. What areas specifically in Miami would you see as good opportunities to buy for your buyers right now?
So anything a La Pata, bro. A La Pata is very well. I tell you, I pretty much speak to you at least 3-4 times a week. And I tell you the property I had under contract, it's a 3-2. We had it for $160,000. It was gonna be an amazing property to either flip or hold or whatever. And you still find properties like that, right? And these properties in the next 5, 6, 7 years, you're gonna be able to sell them for $350,000, $400,000. It's good, man. And especially
I remember I did my first multifamily property, which wasn't really a multifamily. It was one of those auxiliary single family homes. A year and a half, I think ago it was. And I can't even tell you what the price was. It was just something silly. And it was right on the cusp. It was right on the major expressway part. So it was like it was the division between Wynwood and Alapata, because Wynwood and Alapata are just like right there, right? And bro, I was just speaking to the client, I don't know, a week ago. And if you would have said, he has people knocking on his door, literally knocking on his door, offering him 2 times what he bought the house for.
Wow.
It's insane. It's insane. So if I know that area is blowing up. I know that's a great area. Actually, I spoke to Ivan yesterday, and he had told me that I think that contract, that property is going to be on the contract if it's not on the contract already. So that, whoever's going to buy that's a lucky person. But no.
So I had it on the contract. I let it go, unfortunately, because what's going on with the coronas and all. So then Ivan automatically, like this, boom, somebody else came and bought it. They're actually closing on Tuesday.
Oh, so nice.
It's great.
It's just a market that exists right now. So with that being said, right? Do you have any advice for agents on how to work with buyers and sellers in this market right now?
Okay, so this right here is up for grabs. It just depends how you feel about it. The way I particularly feel about this is I would tell the agents to be responsible, right? Some of the businesses I see people taking just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
We have to be responsible, right? In taking care of our clients, the general public, ourselves, and our families. So I have people going to my listings, showing the properties, right? And then they give me a call. Hey, is your seller looking to give a 3% seller contribution? Is he open to that? Okay, first of all, guys, if you're walking around with a buyer that is not 100% ready to purchase right now and needs this extra funds and stuff, right now it's not the time to go and shopping around with this person. We have to be responsible. There is a stay-at-home order. I understand that we're essential. People do need somewhere to live. Yet, if this person has a place where they're safe and they're gonna be all right and they don't need to go buy, don't go around, trying to find good deals, right? That right now it's not the right time for that. So that I'm telling people to just be careful. Why? It goes back to my wife being pregnant, right? So if I go out and I show a property and I get sick, for example, and then I give it to my wife and then craziness happens, bro, it's not worth it, right? Just I don't know. We have to be conscious about what we're doing right now, and just be careful. That's what I can say.
I agree with you. So I know you're big on relationships. I like to say that we were friends first before we did any types of business together, and that really was a constitution. That was a prerequisite of us just staying in contact and being in touch with each other. So what advice would you give anyone, whether it's a client, whether it's a real estate agent, a loan officer, anyone watching, that's kind of struggling with that?
So I believe working on relationships, that's really what matters. 85% of my business is from my sphere and referrals. Okay. And 100% of my business is organic. I don't pay for sale leads. I don't pay for any type of leads. I don't do any of that. Right. And what I work, the way I lead generate is by developing my relationships. Okay. And that to me is the most efficient way to actually get business. So how do I work on these relationships? Just pick up the phone and say, how are you doing? That's it. Grab this thing and just call, use it, call one by one, each one of your contacts, and just basically keep in touch with people,
Yeah.
That's me. It's the only way and the easiest way to get business.
That's it. How do you manage your contacts and the people that you stay in touch with, past clients, database, and just your overall relationships? Like how do you manage that?
So the way I manage it is very simple. For example, the past clients, I make sure at least once a year, send them a happy anniversary card. I hunt them down on Facebook. Whatever they're doing on Facebook, I'm always commenting them. If I see that they bought a new car, I call them, hey, how's your car? How is it? It's basically being there and being present, right? Showing them that you actually care about them too, right? And believe it or not, I don't ask for business. I just talk to people and I'm around. And there's this saying that says luck is when, how is it? Luck is when a opportunity.
Opportunity, yeah. I think it's opportunity and preparation meet or something like that.
So it's just that. Just work on your relationships, talk to people, and let them know. Don't be a secret agent, right? Because there's a lot of people out there too who are like, oh, I'm a realtor, but how do I know you're a realtor? Like you're just posting of you fishing every day, but I don't know if you're a realtor, And if you go on my social medias, everything is either about food, my wife, my puppy, or real estate. And yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about that.
So this is the last question I got for you, and I'm bringing this question up because there was an article that I read in Housing Wire that gave off two different perspectives of this. One side of the real estate market was, no, this is going to destroy our business, and the second was, yeah, no, after this is all over, we're gonna see a boom. So after COVID is over and everything kind of sorts itself out, what do you think is going to happen to the local real estate market? Do you think it's going to be a boom? Do you think it's going to die down? Do you think people are going to be scared to go out? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, for starters, let's talk about good news, right? 356,986 people have recovered from the COVID-19. So we are gonna surpass this. This is gonna go away eventually, right? And I believe that's a huge win.
That is a huge win.
As per real estate, there is going to be a correction in pricing, right? And once everybody goes ahead and stabilizes and get their jobs back and are able to sustain their families and be able to go ahead and purchase homes, I believe things are going to get very good, just for the fact that I don't see interest rates going up. I don't foresee it going up. It makes no sense for interest rates to go up. As a matter of fact, I think it might even go down.
Yeah.
Just so that buyers could go out and purchase homes, right? Yeah. It only makes sense that we keep interest rate lower with the price of the homes shifting and lowering for the market to come back and basically revive the market, right? By having people going out there and purchasing homes. So I see that once this is over, it's going to be a good thing. There's going to be a lot of sales, and that's what's going to drive a market to, not only the market, the economy to come back up to where it was.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on the rate side. I agree with you on the fact that there's going to be people that jump back in. I know you and I both see people who
listings out there are going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen. There's going to be so much not only demand, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities for listings out there that it's going to help the economy. Remember, real estate is a big driver to the economy, right? And I believe these key factors are going to help our economy get back to where it was.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we rely heavily on real estate as an economic push. And I agree with you 100%. I feel like once this is all over, there's going to be a shift of people who, kind of boom. Are we going to have the spring craziness? Probably not. But what's going to end up happening is we're probably going to have something like a fall madness or even late winter madness where people are just kind of on the sidelines right now saying, we're going to wait, right? It's not the right time. Or they feel like they just have to because they can't go out, or they're scared to go out. And it's something that is really concerning to them. So I agree with your perspective. Maybe different markets are different. I think here in this market locally, I think people, look, the truth is and you probably agree with this, in Miami especially, we didn't really start taking this thing serious until they told us and forced us that we had to actually stay home. You know what I mean? I mean, when it's 80 degrees outside, when you have the beach down the street, when you have the sun beaming on you and it rains for 10 minutes a day, and I don't even think it rained at all in the month of March, you just you feel like you're insulated, right? You feel like it's not me, not us. But then it gets real, right? So that's my thoughts. That's what I think. And I wanted to ask, how can people contact you? How can they reach you both via email, phone number, social media? How can anyone get in contact with you if they wanted to speak to you more?
So you know very well that this thing right here never leaves my side.
Yep.
It's a one ring, boom, hello, how you doing?
That's
You can definitely give me a call at 305-492-9705. That is my cell number, direct line. And you can follow me on social media at G Pacheco, my last name, Realtor. So it's G Pacheco Realtor. Once again, that's throughout all social medias, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, everywhere.
Awesome.
That's right there is a great source to contact me as well.
Awesome, man. Is there anything that you wanna recap on, or you wanna throw in there before we wrap up?
So guys, it's I feel things are gonna get better sooner than later. I believe we have to be very careful and responsible with what we do in right now with as being realtors, right? So just be careful. Don't go out there looking for business and hurt somebody else, right? So that's just a message that I feel like we should go out there. The faster we beat the COVID, the faster we're gonna go back to our normal lives. And that's really the message that I've been trying to portray here,
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, listen, man, I really appreciate you making the time. Thank your wife too for, allowing me to have an hour of your time on a Saturday morning. Really, really appreciate it. Again, guys, gals, everyone who is watching, really appreciate your interaction. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch us this morning. Keep the questions coming. If there's any questions after you see this and you want to tag Gus and you want to just get more information, you know where to find him. You can reach out to me too, and I could always put you guys in contact. For that, you guys have a great Saturday, and I hope you.
Is there any questions? I'm trying to look on Facebook.
No, we had Abel said great job, guys. Have a great show. Ivan said thanks guys for the information, very helpful. And then he told us that the seller signed yesterday. So Ivan, congratulations on the closing. And yeah, man. So that was it. I really appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me, and nothing.
Awesome.
We should do this more often.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.